rude or anything, but we'll go ahead and we'll call the meeting to order. I will tell you, I have an appointment at 6 o'clock, so we must be brief, concise, get right to the point. My name is Chief Tony Graham. I'm with the Danville Police Department. We're going to have a discussion on homelessness. There's lots of factors about homelessness. Some people probably want to know why the Chief of Police is leading this discussion for the city. And I'll make a couple of comments before we get started to hopefully illustrate a little bit the different viewpoints on homelessness. So I'll just tell you, we at the police department deal with the homelessness almost every single day. We have a young lady that about every morning goes to DOE, Maple Tree, Dry Stack. Sometimes she's not bathed in 2 or 3 days. She's really not homeless, but she appears to be. We get a call on her just about every day. We go up there. I dealt with her last week. It is not the best probably for those businesses, but me taking her and putting her in jail for loitering or whatever, is not really the answer either. Last week I received a message from through Facebook. It was actually a classmate of mine. Some of the houses that are empty and condemned or structures that are not inhabitable, we have quite a few people that are homeless, what some people consider homeless, living in those structures. Sometimes they're doing illegal activities, sometimes they're not. It concerns neighbors, and we get numerous calls on that activity as well. Some people don't understand why we just don't go in and arrest those people for trespassing or whatever. For us to do trespassing or to make an arrest, we have to have the property owner's authorization to do that prior to. We just can't show up even though we know it's not their house and not their property. We just cannot make an arrest for those activities. We had our first discussion back in January on this issue, and we had some pictures and some slides that we showed. And about a month after that, we were the city codes enforcement was asked to clean up some property where some of those individuals were staying. We went and asked those individuals that were camping or staying on those properties that they needed to vacate so city crews or county crews could come in and clean up. So I send officers out there to get that done, and about 20 minutes later, I have somebody in my office that is an advocate for the homeless telling me how cruel my officers were for making those people leave. And that because I hadn't made them leave 30 days ago, that I was being a bad person for making them leave today. I said, well, they do have to leave. It's not their property. I do have the property owner's permission now to tell them to leave. And I really don't want to take them to jail. The jail has a population count that they're trying to stay under. And that's a burden upon them, which turns into a burden on the courthouse. So homelessness is a very complicated issue. We're not going to solve the problem today in this 90 minutes. But it is worthy of a discussion. And worthy of trying to figure out what is best for our community. And when I say community, it's not just a city of Danville problem, it is a county problem and a community problem. I think we from the first meeting, we have started a process, the city and the county, that will try to address some of these issues. Like I said, it will not be done overnight. It's not definitely going to be done in this 90 minutes. But there are some things in place to start to hopefully address. Some of the people that we encounter in the homeless are not truly homeless. They don't want to be where they have to pay rent or pay utilities, or maybe even in a shelter where they have to go by certain rules. You know, some people just don't want to do that. And so that makes that problem even more difficult to deal with. So as we go through this, I will be calling on some people that have done some things since our first meeting on this issue. And we'll let them talk about some programs that they've started or some things they've already done or have tried to help with the situation. We'll open the floor up to community and public comments. Like I said, you see the crowd here. If we give everybody 4 minutes, we'll definitely go over. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm definitely leaving at 6, okay? So I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but I do have a life after work sometimes, but and we'll do that. And if we need to carry on these type of discussions, you know, every quarter or every 6 months, you know, I'll be glad to do that as well to show where we're making some progress. I will tell you about another incident. I know that the EMS has applied for a grant to get different types of social workers, if you want to call it that, or people that deal with mental issues and people that deal with some drug addiction issues, that instead of law enforcement responding to some of these issues, we can send different maybe type of therapists to respond to some of these issues and see if we can, if that can make a dent in some of the issues that we're dealing with. I know they've applied for a grant. They're hoping to get this program up and running in July. I've been working with dispatch on, you know, how we would notify these individuals, this group, and some parameters and some things like that. So we're like I said, we're trying to address some of these concerns and issues, and it's going to take some time and to figure some of these things out. So we'll get right into this. If I don't get to you today, I've got a pad here. You can write your name and number down, and like I said, we will maybe in July or August after the new budget year, and we get through some of that stuff. And like I said, we can see about this program with the county, with EMS, see where it's at. Maybe somewhere in July or August, we might have another just follow-up. So I'll start off by calling, I got another gentleman here. He's going to be one of our speakers, Mr. Steve Sleeper. He's going to talk about the Homeless Coalition, and he's got to be out by 5 himself, so we'll call on him first.
All right, thank you, Chief Gray. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, back in November, the fiscal court took the initiative to form a homelessness task force, and we ended up with 19 members on our task force. And in addition to that, we have at least 22 other individuals that have attended our meetings or expressed interest and want to be involved in our communications regarding our homelessness efforts. And we've had 4 meetings, one in January, 2 in February, and 1 in March. We just had one last evening. And I'd like to just share with you our mission statement and then share with you some of the things we've done thus far. Our mission statement reads, to mitigate homelessness and provide resources and housing options for people facing homelessness in Boyle County through advocacy, education, and the coordination of community resources and efforts. As has been alluded to, homelessness is a very complex matter. It is extremely complex, and there is no one size fits all in terms of the solution for homelessness. So we want to find sustainable and effective and meaningful solutions to people who are experiencing homelessness. And so we, as the task force, were large and it was kind of cumbersome, so we've divided up into several small subcommittees that are working to in looking at different issues that are part of that complex problem. One of the things we're doing is engaging local churches to see what they can offer, some that are already offering services and how what else that can be done in that area. We are looking at various models of sheltering and emergent and transitional housing. There's a number of different options out there, and we're trying to find what would be best fit for our community. So we're looking into that, researching that. We call these action groups, and because we don't want to be a talk force, we want to be a task force and get things done. So we also are looking at the matter of attainable housing. We also, an essential component of what we're looking at is case management. That is the ultimate key, and so we have a group that's endeavoring to work on that. We also realize that prevention is one of the best cures for our situation, because it's better to keep folks from experiencing homelessness than trying to find a home for them after they've come to that experience. So prevention is a big part of what we're doing. Something that I'm very excited about, and I think others are too, is that back in February, or was it, yeah, no, I guess it was March, early, whatever, it doesn't matter, but we had a city-county resolution passed, and the city and the county came together, and we are partnering with Heart of Kentucky United Way and the Health Department to work on the area of funding for homelessness initiatives, programs, and such. And the reason why this is exciting is for the city and the county and these other, and the United Way and the Health Department to come together is a huge thing, to have that collaboration. Through that collaboration, we hope that funding for such initiatives will increase. And also, it provides a mechanism with the United Way involved. It provides a mechanism for the allocation of those funds with a much greater accountability and transparency and outcome measurements. So that will help us in the long run in terms of finding programs that will effectively address the homeless situation. So this was really a huge thing. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you this evening. Our next meeting is April 16th. We meet at the Extension office. Everyone is welcome to come that would like to. But anyway, we're off to a good start. I know sometimes it seems like we're moving at a glacial pace, but if we try to just rush things through and try to force solutions that aren't really necessarily going to answer the problem, we could be a passenger train running off the rails. So we want to be very deliberate and very effective in what we're doing. So thank you all very much. Thank you all for being here as well.
What time do you all meet on that 16th?
4:30 at the Extension office. I don't know exact room yet, but we meet 4:30, April 16th at the County Extension office. So if anybody ever has any questions, please feel free to contact me. We have several task force members with us this evening. If I'll ask you to raise your hand if you're, yeah, so we have a number of the 19 that are here already. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question? I can take it. I've got about 5 minutes left, so.
Just a real quick question. Do you have any, got people that work on the task force, that anybody that can work with the deaf community?
We do not, and that is an important
Yeah, I'd be very
area.
interested in being involved with that.
Okay, thank you. Can you come to our next task force meeting, April 16th? Yeah, okay, and then we can get, we have people from all areas of the community. We have a housing authority person, we have Ephraim McDowell people, we have people from faith-based organizations. Who else do we have? We've got people from the health department, schools. Yeah, we have a school resource person on our committee and are on our task force. A lot of social service folks, yeah. So it's a pretty broad spectrum of people that are involved, and we would certainly welcome and definitely see the need to have someone from the deaf community to assist us. So, yes.
Do you have any builders or land developers on your committee?
We do not, no, we do not. That's another area that would be a good place to, because, yeah, because we're looking at attainable housing for folks. And that's a kind of a longer term issue in terms of having enough housing. If you look at the statistics for the lack of housing in our community in general, it's pretty enormous. So, yes, thank you. Anyone else? All right, well, thank you all.
Sir? Yes. So, again, if I let every speaker get up there and speak and we ask 10 questions, that's more than 5 minutes. The thing is, we've got a lot of people in this room, we have a lot of comments. If we manage the time fairly well, we can get most of us in. And also, if they're talking or you can ask them after the meeting, something like that. That's something that you're interested in. And you can volunteer and do that, and those meetings should be announced and you can attend those.
And we need to also announce to you all that in the presence of the press, this is not an official city council meeting. There are 3 out of the 5 commissioners here tonight, and that's a quorum, but we're not here as an official meeting. We're here as listeners, okay?
So after our meeting in January, or discussion in January, I should say, should not call it a meeting, but after our discussion in January, we had a group that opened a warming shelter, and I believe we have a couple gentlemen here that would, Gary Chaddister and Brian, that can address some things there and give you all some information about how that went. And Gary and Brian, I'll turn it over to you for.
Thank you. We'll do this quickly for a matter of time. Back in January, we had that cold spell for a couple weeks. Centenary Church was so kind and so gracious to open up their church home to us to have a community warming center. We were there for 9 days. We served 17 guests. Roughly 96 people volunteered for a 4-hour shift. Of those 96, 45 people volunteered more than once. We are incredibly grateful to those folks that were willing to take their time in the cold and come out and be a part of that. We'll be forever grateful for that. I think, personally, it demonstrated to me that our community is ready to serve when it comes to homelessness. And I think the heart demonstrated it that then. We have no plans moving forward. Of course, the next plan will have to be not probably a cold spell, but a heat snap. Sometime when it gets hot and we need to have a cooling shelter instead of a warming shelter. But that is what we're focusing on now as we're getting into spring and getting ready for summer.
And just to touch on what Gary was saying, we're forever grateful for any church or any agency that gets involved that's willing to open up for these warming / cooling shelter centers. See, I almost broke the cardinal rule that I tell Gary all the time. It's not a shelter; it's a center. So we get anything passed, 2-3 days, and that's when we start switching gears toward an actual shelter where we're providing, showers, hot meals, and et cetera. So from the emergency management side, point of view, we're there, but we're there in a support role. So, we're getting the cots out to the places that need to be, the blankets, the sheets, some toiletry items, but very grateful for places like Centenary that allow us in a good central location to get together, and we're at that point we're basically trying to sustain life, anything below 20 degrees or above 95. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We have a young gentleman here from Danville High School that heard about the discussion, and they were able to form a group at Danville High School. And they're going to speak to the component maybe of feeding of food. And so Simon Drake, he's a senior at Danville High School. You're on the clock.
All righty. My name's Simon Drake, and I founded the volunteering club over at Danville High School. We have 23 members, and we started out wanting to help out cats, and then we saw a need to help homeless people, so that's what we're doing. We are currently running a fundraiser, and we got 77 toiletry items, and we did a bake sale to get funds to even those out so we can make hygiene, like care packages, and we're gonna work with some of the churches in town to hand those out. And then soon we're gonna do an Easter egg hunt that's gonna fund other projects for us. That's gonna be March 30th, from 1 to 3. It's $5 a kid. We're gonna have candy, little prizes. So if you'd like to help out our homeless, you should come. It'll be fun. And then we are gonna collaborate, I think, with a few other groups pretty soon. We've been in contact with them. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but, soon. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon.
Yep.
You didn't ask Simon any questions?
Is Dr. Goodwin here? I thought yes, no? There they are. So they will speak to us today on the state of habitat in Danville and Boyle County.
Right. Well, good afternoon. My name's Terry Mannon, and this is Russ Goodwin, and we're both volunteers for Boyle County Habitat for Humanity. We were asked to provide a brief overview of our organization and answer any questions that you may have. While most of our homeowners were renting when they qualified for a Habitat home, some, such as our last two families, were considered homeless in that they and their children did not have a place of their own and were living with family or friends. Boyle County Habitat was organized in 1990 to build decent, low-cost, energy-efficient homes for qualifying low-income individuals in Boyle County. We're an all-volunteer organization overseen by a board of volunteers. In the past 35 years, we've built 46 homes in Danville, Perryville, and Junction City. We sell our homes at our cost with a no-interest loan, which means that our homeowners' monthly mortgage payment is almost always less than what they would pay for rent. We sell our homes to individuals who would otherwise not qualify for a conventional home loan. To qualify for a Habitat home, an applicant's annual income must fall between the very low and low income limits for Boyle County as determined by the United States Housing and Urban Development. A successful applicant must also have a good employment history and an acceptable credit rating. We currently have the volunteer base and financial wherewithal to build one house a year. our most pressing need right now is for affordable building lots. For the first time in our history, we have no lots in our inventory for next year's build. We have one for this year, but we don't have anything for next year's build. We tend to specialize in building entry-level homes in existing older neighborhoods. So any help the city of Danville could give us to help find and purchase lots would be appreciated. We understand that the state of Kentucky has made funds available to help local governments address the many vacant lots and properties with city liens. We'd be very interested in working with the city of Danville to identify privately owned vacant lots that have city liens, where we might offer to purchase the lot from the private owner and pay off any lien. We can then build an affordable house for a qualified family who will then pay property taxes on that lot rather than have these vacant lots continue to accumulate city liens. I'd like to conclude by thanking you for the opportunity to share some basic information about Boyle County Habitat for Humanity. We hope that this might lead to more dialogue with the city to help us identify some of these lots. Also, any of you or your friends who might be interested in volunteering with our home construction crew or as board members, please let us know after the meeting. So thank you. Any questions?
Few questions?
Okay.
Thank you all so much. Brent? You don't say anything? One of my favorite people.
Man. No, that's a little scary right there.
So,
No, sorry.
for some that may not know, this is Brent Blevins. He is it the county?
Boyle County, yeah.
Boyle County? Okay.
County, city, it's all combined in there. We serve it all. Real quick, tell you why I'm really excited about the city and the county working together. And here's, from my perspective, what I really like about that. Because now we're putting together a process that will allow people who are interested in providing some type of service to have a way to fairly, equitably, to apply with outcomes attached to it. That is the same process for anybody wanting to apply. And for me, that's a real interest, because now the playing field is the same for anybody that has that interest. If you were here at the first forum, there was a lot of people who talked about different ideas, different things they wanted to do, different things they were already doing. Now, if finances are an issue, there's a way to go through that. But it also holds people accountable for the money, the funding that is allocated to them, and what happens with that. And in this day and time, the truth of the matter is, if you don't have outcomes and you can't show what happened to funding, a lot of times you're not going to get grant funding. You're not going to get people to fund you. And that's just the reality. One quick fact to show you how much money we can talk about in a short time period. When Gary was talking about the period when the warming center was open, from January 20th to February 16th of this year, during that same time period, we have a homeless grant at the health department that's tied to COVID funding. That grant runs out in June. We've already had to put a stop to the housing vouchers we did because we ran out of money. And here's why. During that one time period, we spent $8,500 putting people up during that cold snap just to try to have them a place if they weren't at the warming center or somewhere else, that we were able to do that. Thank goodness for Super 8 Motel that they were willing to do that, because if they had not done that, we would not have been able to spend $8,500 getting people out of the cold. The reason I tell you that is to show you how quickly the financial side of this can add up. It's quick, that funding can go quick, and that's why, again, I'm really excited about what the city and the county are doing together along with United Way and the health department. We're jumping in there to try to see if we can give people the opportunity to apply, go through the process. It's a process, and you got to be ready for that, but it's a fair process. And that's what really interests me on that. So, any questions? Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brent. So I'm going to piggyback off Brent with Ms. Miles. Would you want to say anything with the ASAP program and sometimes where we fit in with some issues? So the reason I'm tagging Brent and Kathy a little bit together because our ASAP program and the health department kind of work hand in hand. And
This is a surprise.
well, I know you're a good speaker, so I thought you'd be okay.
Okay, so ASAP is, for those of y'all that don't know, Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, and we have been looking at and trying to address homelessness as much as we could within the scope of everything we're supposed to do, which is really about tobacco, alcohol misuse, and drug misuse, legal and illegal in this community. So that's our primary scope of practice, if you want to call it that. And homelessness has just been coming up over and over again because obviously addiction and mental health are two of the contributing factors to homelessness, but not the only ones. And so there's a lot of this that's kind of separate from what we do, but our folks over and over again in every meeting we have talk about how people can't find housing, and that they're serving people are coming straight into treatment out of homelessness, or even worse, leaving treatment without a place to go. So we're gonna take on some pieces of this, and one of those is that we're gonna look for agencies to open transitional living, sober living programs in this county. We do not have enough. We have a little bit of donated money to pay for the first couple of weeks for people going into sober living if they don't have their first paycheck. And we have been helping a lot of those, and we know that it is, most of those programs are full that we have in this county. And a lot of people love Boyle County and they want to stay here. That's a good thing. That's a good thing about this community. So that's one of the things that we're going to look at is how can we attract some of those organizations that we know are out there, and maybe they may need a little bit of that funding and go through that very process Brent was just talking about to start that program. And then people who live in sober living are people who work. They pay taxes, they work, they need a place to live. So that's one of the pieces that we're going to look at, and that's my time, Chief Gray, right? So I'll just give you that as one thing. So thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, Kathy. So a lot of times that's like Kathy said, and I wanted to tag in with her and Brent because I try to get to most of the ASAP meetings that I can. Unfortunately, we see a lot of the homelessness or the people that are unhoused in these situations that we are dealing with. Unfortunately, do have an addiction problem of some sort, or sometimes some psychological issues that they're dealing with that has brought them to this situation that they're in right now. And so, again, that's why it is sometimes a very complicated issue in dealing with this. Not everyone that is in that situation chooses to be homeless or unhoused, but there are a few that we encounter definitely want to be there. You know, they don't want to be in a shelter. They don't want to pay bills. They want to camp out. They don't want to have rules. They want to do what they want to do when they want to do it and how they want to do it. And so that even complicates it even worse a little bit. Because, like I said, the fiscal court and the jailer, they don't want them out there either. You know, and unfortunately, we don't all want that type of activity going on in our neighborhoods. And that is to be respected as well. And so we'll continue to work and do some of those things to try to fix some of these issues. I think we have a Mr. Nichols. Bruce, there you are. Yeah. With Helping Hands.
I am Bruce Nichols with the Boyle Mercer County Helping Hands. Want to get all that in. And I really didn't come prepared to make a talk. Mayor Adkins asked me to say 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll stick to that. But we've been a 501c3 here in Danville, Boyle County, Mercer County since 2011. And at last count, we've helped approximately 6,000 to 8,000 people in the last several years. And we added about 1,500 to that last year. A lot of it was food insecurity. We too have housed the homeless. We've sent a lot of those to my old friend Jenny Ramsey up at the Catholic Action Center in Lexington. I sent a bunch of them up there because I was her banker and I could do it. And we got the people off the street here, sent them there because we didn't have a program. Now we use, until we get going here, we're using the Turnersville Church over in Lincoln County. They will accept homeless from Boyle County, and they will send a bus and pick them up and take them there. Let them stay as long as they want. They're a very small church. I do appreciate the support, and I'm not here to ask for money, but we get a little funding from both the city and the county, as well as some food money that we receive from the Emergency Food and Shelter Program administered by United Way, and they've dropped about $8,000 in our county in the last 2 years to help people with food. So we do our part, basically partnering with other agencies. 100% of our funds go to benefit each and every individual. We have no expenses, no rent, have a small office, but it's free, so I have no overhead. I like to brag on that. Basically, we have 10 directors. I'll name a few. Phil Sammons, you all know Phil. If you know him, I know him. And Tommy McGurr, Joan Huffman, Philip Nichols, Pat Bennett, Heather Kokenauer, Jeff Bear, and the Reverend William Jenkins. And I think we have a very good slate of directors. I'm proud of all of them. Again, Super 8, Quality Inn, we paid a lot of bills there, but we discovered that there was more of a need in food insecurity, so we kind of majored in that in the last couple of years. But I came today to learn, and I'm glad to hear the comments I'm hearing now from you all. And in closing, I want to thank you all. That's all I got.
Any questions for Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
What's the numerical limit as to what that church in Lincoln County can accept? And are the facilities in Lexington still open?
Yes, Jenny is still open up there. And it used to be at one time in this county, we would take our homeless to the county line, Fayette County, give them $5 and call Jenny. She'd pick them up. And that was the deal. So, been a long time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Appreciate that. Yes, sir, Gary.
Chief, to answer that first question, though, what we understand is 7. Yeah, when it was cold, it was 9.
So they've also added outbuildings and stuff, and they've got people staying in those, so it's not just the church, so they have expanded and added additional space since they started.
If we are streaming this, so if you do want to make a comment, if you can, maybe step to the podium or, so if there's somebody online trying to watch or listen, that they can hear some of the comments. Do we have anybody here from the Housing Authority? I know we reached out to them. If anybody feels comfortable, make any kind of comments on behalf of the Housing Authority? I didn't even, so you were hidden behind a few heads or, and I didn't even see you.
Right. I'm Ann Young from the Housing Authority of Danville. And one of our board members, Terry Carter's here as well, who is on the coalition regarding homelessness with Steve's group. And I think with our former director, who is no longer at the Housing Authority, this was a large priority, which we all understand, but we had, once we realized that I think some promises were made there that we were unable to even begin to accommodate or fund. There was a small grant received that was there, of which some has been spent. At a time a few years ago, maybe just a tad before COVID and into COVID, setting up an apartment that was up at McDowell Manor for some people and some items collected. And I'll be perfectly honest, it just did not go very well at all. So they eventually, McDowell Manor asked to not have that going on any further. Our director has since left, and we will work as a board to figure out what to do with the remainder of funds, which is not a large amount. And I think we met and told a lot of people in this room about that back in the summer. So, and most of our units are full, or we are working through a wait list. We have a large wait list, and they work through that, and we have a few units offline because they're being rehabbed. I can't tell you the number right now. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. Any questions? Yes?
Can you tell me how much you charge a square foot for that space?
I cannot.
Can you give me an idea of what a one-bedroom or a two-bedroom might cost?
I think every person pays a little bit differently. It's all based on any type of income you have coming in, number of people that are staying there. Even with a one-bedroom, is that one person or two people? So each person fills out the whole application process, which comes from HUD. So they're all, it's not depending upon what someone's income is or if there's any income, it gets figured individually. It's all based off fair housing rents that are provided by HUD that someone else mentioned, but then different levels are taken off of that, depending on each individual circumstance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Okay, sorry. That's about all I can tell you right now.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming in and stepping up and speaking on behalf of the Housing Authority.
40 years.
So I think that's about all that I have prepared to call upon. I will open the floor up for comments from anybody in the audience. If you want to speak, please just come to I'll call upon you. Go to the podium there, state your name. If you're associated with a group or something, or just a citizen, that would be fine, and you have 4 minutes. Yes, ma'am. We are, like I said, we are streaming this, and this is your 4 minutes of fame right here.
There are a few of us that were trying to help a homeless young man, and we were trying to get food out, and that was after that they had been told to leave that property, so having trouble finding people. But this one young man we were trying to help, I'm sorry, I'm Susan Eigelhart. We were trying to help him, and he was embarrassed to meet with us because he hadn't had the opportunity to shower and didn't know when he would be able to shower again. And so we weren't able to meet with these people, and we couldn't find them by going out looking for them. So my question, I didn't know who to ask, is there a place where people can go shower so that they can participate in meetings or get help?
Yes.
Go up, Cliff. Explain it.
Will somebody let me write that down? Meet with me in a minute and let me write that down? Okay, thank you.
Why don't you explain it? Cliff,
You don't want to come up and talk a little bit?
why don't you explain it?
Oh, you can talk. I've heard you talk. Substitutes are supposed to be able to step in, right? I won't pick on you anymore. Do I have anybody else that would like to come to the podium and speak upon what we're speaking upon tonight? Or just share?
Hello, I'm Jennifer Earl, and I am the Executive Director of Grace Cafe. For those who don't know, we were a cafe down on 4th Street for 5 years before COVID, and we served many of the homeless people in our community. We're in the process of raising money to buy a food truck so we can be mobile, called Grace on the Go. And as soon as we can raise those funds, we will be operational, and I'm sure we will be serving many of the people in our community who are very food insecure, and all those who want to help can come and help pay it forward. But as soon as we can get operational, we'll be serving these communities that we're all so concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have raised about $15,000 of the $75,000 we need to buy the truck and get the food trailer and the truck and some other pots and pans and kitchen supplies that we need. So if you want to help, you can go to gracecafeky.org or see me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else that would like to speak or? So, I've written a few notes down. On just some things that I've heard today and some comments and other things that have come to my mind lately as we've gotten ready to have this discussion. The homelessness issue here is Ms. Eigelhart, is that right? We have had some inquiries in the past about showering, you know, where can we, or what can we do to help with that situation? Like I said, actually, right before we had the meeting today, our Scotty, our fire marshal, and I were talking about a piece of property that we know that we've got 3 or 4 people in that our code enforcement officer had condemned last week. And he had gone just today and put up some no trespass, whatever, some signs and things on there. And like I said, we know there's people in those structures. You know, again, you know, what do we do? What can we provide for them in different services? A lot of times those people are skittish of us as police officers. But right now, you know, we just don't have a group that can go and maybe offer a peace lily, so to speak, and try to divert those people to some services. You know, they're just skittish of us in uniforms. We've tried at the police department to, you know, like I said, you know, be sympathetic there, you know, so we're not out making anybody leave unless a property owner has called and said, hey, I don't want them there anymore, or we get other issues from them being in a location. You know, we don't want anybody to freeze and to be cold. During the shelter time, we were trying to help transport and take people there. We've given rides to people out to the Super 8 and those places. Our dispatch works with those agencies on making sure that, unfortunately, some of those people have done criminal activity and they are wanted. And we don't want, it's not necessarily that we don't want, but, you know, they do need to face those charges and take care of those issues. So, you know, we do have to run people at times and see if they're wanted from other jurisdictions and things like that before we can place them into services. And so sometimes the police is not the best to send. I think I said before, the county is working on a grant where we can send other people that don't look like the police, and maybe they can facilitate that, some of those transactions a little easier than we can as the police department. Some of the things that, like I said, we need facilities that can do showering. We need to feed these people. We need to shelter these people. So we need those resources. We need the infrastructure. And most of all, we need people. Government cannot carry that burden alone. That's just the fact of it. The city and the county will need help to carry that burden on how to deal with this. So that's part of why we've had these discussions, is to create opportunities for citizens to participate in helping this problem. And so far, I think we're off to a good start. I think we're moving in the right direction. As someone said, that we're moving at the speed of glaciers or snails, but I think Denzel Washington said if we're moving forward, then it's no matter how fast or how far we go, if we're moving forward, we're doing something, you know, to try to make an impact.
Chief Ray?
Yes, sir.
You got a lady with a hand up.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You want to step to the mic?
I just wondered if the city commission and the county fiscal court and the police have been paying attention to what the legislature is doing with HB 5 and the impact of that. It looks like it's going to pass and criminalize homelessness. That's what I'm.
We've been doing a little bit more than just paying attention to it. We've been studying it. We've been voicing our opinions against both of them to the right people, not just our senators and representatives, but any of those that we encounter in state government. As educators and as public servants, there's a lot of stuff that I find myself speaking out against, not as the mayor of Danville, but as James Atkins, as an individual citizen. So, yes, ma'am, we're aware of them, and cause some tough times for us when they do pass, but yes.
Yes, ma'am, right here in the green.
That's great, thank you. I'm Dr. Cheryl Irwin. I'm a substitute teacher at Garrett County Middle School. And it just struck me a few moments ago that each of you has a heart for the homeless. But how many people in our different worlds think of the homeless as bums who didn't try hard enough? And as you said, Chief, we need more people and we need more money. But the homeless are not just those who are walking around. At the end of this school day, I learned that a 6'2" 7th grader that I teach lost his father 2 years ago. His mother has some serious health issues, and they're living with relatives. And he is an angry student. And now I understand why. So the homeless, we have to educate our family, friends, church members, the people in our worlds. it's credited to Apostle Paul, but he's not the one who said it. It was a pastor in the 1700s who said, "But for the grace of God, there go I." And I would challenge each of you that are a person of faith that we undergird this entire effort with prayer. I was ecstatic when I read in the paper that the application process was going to be streamlined so funds could be applied for and dispersed more readily. To me, that's an answer to prayer. Get rid of some red tape. So let us really seek to, as you say, educate the people in our worlds about the needs of the homeless and help them get rid of their stereotypical picture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well stated.
Gary, go. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. My name is Gary Chedester. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to know that when the Chedesters were at their darkest hour, not too many years ago, the chief of police was the one that showed up. So I need you to know how much I love the chief of police, okay? And it's upon that as I say this, I'm going to say it, okay? I think the community has showed up. I think Danville and Bull County is demonstrating that we care. I think what we've got to find out is whether our elected officials care. I think we live in a community in which if someone wants to get reelected, they do not need to vote for there being a homeless shelter in Danville or Bull County. Now, that's my opinion. We had 200 people here back in January. If we had a meeting here the next night for those who did not want to have a homeless shelter in Danville and Bull County, there would have been more than 200 people here. Okay, this is hard because it's hard. To go along with Dr. Cheryl here, these people have souls. We had a night in February where it got below 20, and we promised the fiscal court if the temperature got below 20, we would open up the center again. I ran for office 5 years ago, tried to get the keys to the courthouse and failed. But you want to know, that Saturday night, that man in the back gave me his badge and I had the whole courthouse to myself. And we let everybody know that there was going to be room there. There was going to be room. The problem with that was this. It was 18 degrees, and brother, you overachieved. The city of Danville police brought a young lady there at 11 o'clock at night. She didn't have a coat. She wasn't dressed for 18 degrees. She brought her to the courthouse, and I praise God for that. When she was at the jail the night before and got out, the city police picked her up and took her and put her in a hotel. You don't get enough credit, Chief. You don't get enough credit, okay? Kids, at 7 o'clock in the morning, it was still 18 degrees. I couldn't let her out, right? She ends up at Turnersville. Praise God. Praise God she ends up at Turnersville. But there's only so much room at Turnersville. And we're getting ready to get a bunch of people because it's getting ready to warm up. I know I got 4 minutes. Thank you. I thank you for what you've done, but I think the community has demonstrated that we're willing to show up and put out. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Sue Andres, and we talk a lot about the homeless as the people we see out on the streets. So I want to give you another face of homelessness. My family was homeless when I was a child. When I was 14, we couch surfed. Yet at 16, I graduated from high school and started college. And I majored in computer science in the 1970s, when girls didn't do that. We stigmatize people because they're homeless. But I just wanted you to see a different face of the homeless. I worked in the computer industry for a long time. I was part of the software team on the first IBM PC. And yes, I was homeless at 14.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yep.
Again, I'm Susan Eigelhart. My church had wanted to start what we call a dinner church, and we have not, and feed whoever wanted a meal once a week. We have not yet been able to find a place to have that meal. And I was just sitting here thinking, back in the 80s, when I lived in Lexington, there was a location where all the churches took turns feeding. So there was a meal every single night because all the churches worked together. So the question then is if we could, I think we could get churches to do that again, even if it's 2 churches that work together each night. So there's more food provision, more workers, but where would we have it? And my memory, it's been a couple of years ago, so my memory's not that strong. I just volunteered my once a week to serve. But it seems like they were in a school building where that also served as a shelter. And I don't think we have any empty school buildings here, but I don't know. I mean, can we do that? Can we put that conversation on the table that we can work together as a community? And I bet all these churches would work together just like they did back then. And it sounds like everybody's wanting to do that right now. So
It has started down at St. Peter's and Paul's. Joyce Center from the Amen Corner at St. Peter's and Paul's. Debbie Turnell's not here. She was going to tell you all, but she's in Ireland, I think, maybe. So anyway, they have started, we started having a meal on Wednesdays, and it keeps on going. They did it down there because at lunchtime, because the Amen Corner is open from 9:30 to about 12 o'clock. And so she serves meals on Wednesday. And then we have the soup kitchens on Saturdays. Each church takes a different channel, and we've now started doing it on Thursdays and Wednesday and Thursday at the Amen Corner. So they're able to get something on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays already. So, and I know she's been looking for a church that would come in and maybe take one of the days, the meals of that day. So if anybody wants to participate, check with Cliff back here. He'll take your names and sign you up because he's been looking for different churches that would do like one meal a week. So, and if they get too many, they can go, like once every 2 weeks or whatever. So we're fortunate, and we hope that will continue to grow. So, and they did it at that time because the homeless happened to come into the Amen Corner to get clothes every week. When they don't get showers and you start smelling, they want new clothes. So they come in there pretty regular. So that's why they started down there.
Thank you. And Cliff, I didn't throw you under the bus. Yeah, she did. I was going to order him up, but I was going to be nice. So anybody else want to speak or have anything else to say or to share? Yes, ma'am. Oh, come on up. I'm surprised you waited that long.
I was going to not say anything. My name is Amy Annis. I'm at the Boyle County Health Department with Brent Blevins. Language matters, y'all. And I know that it is so hard to wrap your head around, but when we use phrases like they and them and homeless people, we need to look at person-first language, and these are people that are experiencing homelessness because they are not defined by their homelessness, nor are people that suffer from substance use disorder, addicts, and drug addicts. So as we talk about these things, I encourage everybody, it takes a switch, it takes practice, but that language is super, super important, especially as we try to advocate, whether it's city, county, state level for programs like this. Language matters, how we speak about other people.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Chief opened the meeting talking about a woman who sits downtown on Main Street. I want you to know her name is Jamie. All she needs is a pack of cigarettes, a jar of peanut butter, and a loaf of bread, and a ride home. And I've been able to accommodate that a couple times. And I think in approaching homelessness, I don't know, I don't see it. And I'm in Danville downtown quite often, but I volunteered at the warming center and I learned more about them. And I'm learning more about them, but I don't see them. And as an individual, I would like to know how I could help more. So.
I've known Jamie for that long. Oh, good. And yeah, she definitely wants a cup of coffee. I've known Jamie for a long time, and I just chose not to mention her name when I spoke about her. Jamie's mom is still alive. We've given Jamie rides quite often. And so my discussion last week to Jamie was that Maple Tree has a little niche in their doorway. So it was sprinkling the other day when I was speaking with her. So she was actually in before Maple Tree opened. And she was in that little niche to get away out of the rain. And DOE has the awning, and sometimes she goes there. And unfortunately, like Amy mentioned, they are people, but sometimes that is a distraction to business. And it's nothing against Jamie at all, but, that could run business off. So me and Jamie had a discussion about that, and I took her and got her some cigarettes, and I said, Jamie, before Maple Tree opens now, you need to move away from the door, I don't want to come back down here again or have my officers come back down here. And I know that a gentleman came out of Dry Stack as I was talking to Jamie. And he probably took the conversation, possibly, I don't know, but he probably took the conversation that we were having much different. That, here the police is out here, making her run and making her leave and all that. But, if you're familiar with her at all, she's there every day, Monday through Friday. And some days, like I said, and I understand, I get the business as part of it too, that it's not very welcoming to have that. When I spoke with Jamie that day, she said she hadn't bathed in 3 days. And, she has a house, We've had people with DCBS, the Cabinet of Families and Children, go by there and do checks. And, it's like I tell people, when they call sometimes about her, she's fairly healthy. Sometimes she's not very clean. Sometimes she doesn't smell good. But, I mean, she finds her way there every morning. She's there is a mental component there. She's not the most educated. She does have some learning disabilities, but can we communicate? Yes. She can probably tell you who I am when she sees my car. That's how long we've known each other. The lady was asking about House Bill 5. I've seen that, and I know that's not my philosophy that we criminalize homelessness. I'm not for that, and it's for the rest of my tenure, if it passes, that's not what we're going to do here. But like I said, it's a very complicated issue. I think that the city and the county has agreed to do what we can. But it is a community issue, and I think that as we as a community have to be more involved on a personal level. It cannot be just all left up to government, the health department, the police department, the sheriff's department. It has to be a part that the community has to take a vested interest in this as well and partner with these two agencies to get better.
Chief, I was sitting here and had a good thought as well. We've had 2 meetings, and well, we've had several meetings, really, because even before the community-wide meeting, we've had discussions about this. I am looking for someone to step forward and to be the connecting force behind all of this. I wrote down the Board County Homelessness Task Force, then I wrote down Heart of Kentucky United Way. There's some place in this town that we need to be able to say, you just started a new project or program for taking care of homelessness or food insecurity. You need to be able to call some number, give your information, and say, put me on the list so when people are in need of something, we call that one central place. There's all kinds of people in this town doing stuff, but I don't have a person at City Hall I could volunteer to do that because, City Hall employees work full-time, but we got to find a way to figure out how can we centralize, because I just found out coming the door that the Catholic Church is feeding Wednesdays and Thursdays now, not just Thursdays. And without this meeting being here tonight, I may not have found that out until I got invited back down for pinto beans or something, right? I read it on Facebook, yeah. So we need to have some central location where we can find, when you start something new, you know where to record it. And then I keep in my mind, I've got April the 1st coming along, and April has 29, 30, 31 days. I'd be able to look on that calendar for April and say, well, if somebody needs some help about some food on the first Saturday, I know I can send them there. If it's the first Tuesday, I know I can send them there. Because some folks are doing this stuff every week, and not very many of us know about what the left is doing. Ms. Miles, I know you had your hand. You volunteering to do it?
So I forgot to say this because I didn't know I was going to be speaking, but we had this discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Kathy Miles. We had this discussion yesterday at the Homelessness Task Force. I wrote this up and sent it to the Homelessness Task Force weeks ago. This has come up for years, that this community doesn't have a central place that organizes and collects information, advocates for holes in services that aren't there, and reports to y'all in fiscal court. This community does not have a central coordinating person/office, and no, it does not need to be a volunteer. Yeah, would you ask for volunteers to do your engineering work? No. This is a person who needs to be paid to do this because look how important it is. And we can make a whole lot of difference. We can prevent a lot of this. And I see lots of people in this room that want to prevent some of this homelessness. They don't just want to feed them and shelter them. They want to get us to the point where we don't have so much. Because once children go through homelessness, their adverse childhood experiences go through the roof, and they have to live with that the rest of their life. So let's look at how we can prevent some of this. And if the fiscal court and the city commission, who are doing such a good job of working together, if y'all could pull together and find a way to have a tiny little office and a person and a phone to be this and measure the outcomes. So I don't think you should do it without saying, we want to know at 6 months how this is going. We want to know at 1 year how this is going. We want to know our money is worth it. And a good person will be able to collect that data and have those outcomes for y'all, and it will make a difference. So, but don't ask it to be volunteers. This community is doing a lot with volunteers, but this is a professional person who can do this. So Thank you for saying that, and I forgot to say it earlier, so.
Well, it's really important, should be really important to all of us. The community action, well, yeah. Well,
You could, I apologize, you've got to speak into the
I'm
mic so
sorry.
that they can be heard on YouTube.
I was suggesting maybe the community action office down by the bus garage, because as helping hands, they've got my number. They call when they want something done. If I can't do it, I send them on to an agency that can. But that's a central point that people come to, not only for transportation services, but where they're looking for assistance on rent, utilities, food, what have you. And
Well, we're not
put your
going
person
to,
there
we're not
if you
going to
can.
solve it tonight. I'm just glad I said it because, that I heard it. Mrs. Miles has sent in writing to the county task force, that will be a new charge, a new project for them. And coming in the door tonight, I was also saying that the city needs more representation on the Board County Homelessness Task Force. And I said, wow, I'm glad I set this meeting up tonight so I could hear that as well. But, so things are happening. And so as we hear about these things, we got to sort of write them down, document them. This is being recorded, so we'll have some folks take some notes off of it. But I want to go back to the Warming Center. Because I'm an educator and I'm a highly trained person when it comes to certain things. I didn't realize the importance to people who are having homelessness as an issue right now, how important their pets are to them. That for some of them, that's the only real live connection they have that is their love and whatever. And then the other thing, and I guess we all knew this if we've had kids or grandkids, how important cell phones. That may be the only two things that they can legitimately say that they own at this stage in their life. And it's just like, I didn't volunteer to sign up at the Warming Center. I just went out and just made sure that I was there every day and whenever I could go, so that all the volunteers could see a young face. So I just sort of did that. But we have got to find ways to stop dehumanizing issues when they come up in our community. And this is one of them. And so we have got to find, and I threw some people under the bus, the task force and the United Way, because it's got to be an agency that we all can rely upon. And also I use the word trust. I don't care what you think about me, you just have to trust me. And we've got to find a way that we can create that trust in this community with this topic. And Chatterton made an outstanding comment, and then he left. But he is right, 100%, that when we have the meeting that says we're going to let those folks who don't want a warming center, not a shelter, but just a center in this community, come and have their say, we're not going to do it at City Hall, we're going to do it someplace else. Because they're out there, and we hear from them. Now, I didn't run my campaign on the fact that I was going to deal with the homeless issue. I've been dealing with it since 1974 when I first got to Danville. Because I was an educator. I started finding out about it with middle school kids. Then I went to Tolliver and I found out about it with elementary school kids. So it's been there for me. But I am tickled pink because we have decided to accept the fact that it exists and we're going to confront it. We're going to work to resolve it. And that's my sermon, and if I was at church, I'd start passing the plate, but I know I can't do that here.
No, that's quite okay. So it's about 10 till, and one person I haven't called on. Do you want to? Okay. So Stephanie Blevins with the Hardy, Kentucky United Way. Sometimes I get these titles mixed up, so.
Well, again, Kathy, I'm a little off guard too. So I came to listen. Obviously, United Way wants to play a role in this. It's part of our mission, keeping our people healthy and safe in all our communities. The support that we see from the community means the world to obviously not just my agency, but our community in whole. So thank you for being here. United Way would love to serve as that point of contact. At this time, though, however, there's always a but. Here's the but. I am currently, Heart of Kentucky United Way is a staff of 1. So that would be me. We are in the process of hiring a resource development director. But truly, to do what you're saying and to do case management, keeping up a resource guide like that is so important, which is what Kathy is talking about. It doesn't happen in just 15 minutes or in 5 minutes. It's an ongoing process because it's not a just one and done. All these things are changing and the wheels are always in motion. It is a role, it's a position. We would be glad to house that position at United Way. But we don't have the funds to make that happen just yet. So, I'm not sure what the mayor's trying to say, but whatever that is, we can work together on this. I am sure there is a solution, trying to read body language. And we want to be a part of that solution, and we are committed to that. So whatever we can do and however we can make that happen, you have our full support.
Wow.
Thank you.
Amen to that. Wow. Wow.
Well, Stephanie, I really appreciate you being here. You and Brent, y'all. I think y'all are gold mines for this community, and I appreciate everything you all both do for Danville, Boyle County. It's about 6 minutes till 6, and my best friend is refereeing the boys' state tournament for the very first time. And I've had that privilege many times, but this is his first. And I told him I would be there to see him referee his first state tournament. So there's a lot of faces in here I know, and I appreciate you all being here. Those that I called upon. Oh, yeah. I was going to say that before we leave, that there's a sign-in sheet back in the back. If you like any updates and things, and we could get your emails, and I forgot what all it asked, but at least it gives us something to communicate with. We would definitely appreciate that. Commissioner Peak, Commissioner Sears, do you all have anything to add? I definitely didn't want y'all to be left out for being called upon.
I think this is great that we're coming together. A lot of good things have been said tonight, and a lot of it has to do with unity. We've got organizations working together that hadn't been working together previously, and that's how we're going to get it done. When it comes to re-election things and homeless or not homeless shelter, it kind of reminds me of the same thing when we were dealing with skateboard parks and some other recreational things, and it was always, we don't want those people in our park, and that was really very irritating. So that's something that's easily, we're going to go over. Thank you all for being here.
So I am going to adjourn us 5 minutes early. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Pekinson. Okay.
No, I just want to say thank you for everybody coming out too and having this meeting, Tony. I appreciate it. Like I've said, I went to the task force meeting with the county. They invited me to one, and there's so many people in Danville, Boyle County that work on projects by themselves. And so we never really work, well, I won't say never, but there's so many people that want to do so many good things, but if we could put it together somehow and have one place, how much more could we achieve? Yeah, that's just all I would say.
And the chief said he had to leave. Commissioner Siri and Commissioner Peak, they don't have to leave for the chief and I. They can stay around for you all as long as you want to, right?
Yeah. You're more than welcome to grill the elected officials the rest of the night.